Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. This is the PHTM seminar, number one of the day. This is iCabbi, the next generation, a new era of innovation for the taxi industry. And it is being chaired and hosted and dealt with by Sinead Gillette from iCabbi and Chris Brooks Tomkin. Sinead, over to you.
Thank you very much. We're delighted to be here today at the PHTM and to be opening up the seminars today. We have been coming here for probably 10 years now. I think this is my 6th year maybe coming to the show, and it feels a little bit like home when you walk in through the floor on the first day, and it's great to see everybody buzzing around. My name is Sinead Gillette. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for iCabbi, and Chris, who hates being called Chris, we call him CBT, is our Global Customer Success Manager. Today we want to give you a very brief snapshot of what has been happening at iCabbi, which is hard to do because there's been a lot going on there. So our presentation today is titled iCabbi Next Generation. And that's because we believe at iCabbi that we're entering a new phase of innovation and that we're bringing the next generation of our platform for the next generation of the taxi industry. So you guys are changing and our technology is rising to meet the challenges and opportunities of that change. And I think it's exciting to be entering into a new chapter because when you look back in history, it's so easy to compartmentalize things. The 60s, 70s, everything has their own trends and their patterns attached to them. And we're starting to see that now in taxi. iCabbi first entered the market in about 2011, 2012, and we came on the scene very much young pups, rascals, messers, and very disruptive. A very lively bunch of people, and we brought cloud to the industry, the first solution that was fully cloud-based, and the first SaaS solution, and we drove automation levels up. And all of that stuff has been great, and we've brought a ton of customers on board. I think we now have over 50,000 licenses in the UK. It's by far our largest market, and we're very committed to it. But automation and cloud-based and SaaS, that's all standard now. So nobody needs to be transformed in that way. That has already happened. And now it's about what happens next. What is the next level of innovation that can take place? And over the past 2 years, 3 years even in iCabbi, we've been working towards that. And it's been slow but steady progress. And we really are now beginning to see the delivery of those innovations that we've been putting in place. And that's what we want to share with you guys today. So that is next generation. That is me. And what I want to talk to you about really briefly is our product vision. So we essentially have 3 core pillars of our product vision at the moment: stability, optimization, and innovation. And innovation is our core goal. That's where we want to get to, but it can't take place unless we can deliver stability and optimization. So I spoke about our entry into the market 12 years ago. We built the platform as we were flying it. One of those situations, a classic startup, and it was very complex, and it was a really wonderful time for people involved in that because we were working with customers in the UK all the time, taking on feature requests, adapting the product to suit different business models and how people work. And as you all know here, every fleet is different. So we probably built the most complex system available in the world right now for dispatch, probably 1,000 configurations and different bits and bobs that Chris knows how to do, and I have no idea. All I know is that they exist. So it's old, and what happens is that the architecture begins to date. So over the last 3 years, brought in a new CTO in Adrian Ginnity, and he's really kind of evolved the system. So he's taken the architecture and updated it to what we see today and what's standard across tech companies today. He's built in lots of future proofing, a new type of code that we use within the system, and it's starting to streamline. We've gone from having 9 products to having 14 products, and so it's building in that way. But 2 of the core things that we're doing this year to drive and kind of finalize and finish off the stability project that we've been working on for the last 3 years are 2 things that people will be in our customer base very interested in. The first is a new Android driver app. So I was talking to someone last night about our driver app. It's obviously critical to how fleets run their business. We launched an iOS app. I think that was last year or the year before, was it?
Yeah, yes, that was probably sort of like August, September time.
And it's been an absolute dream, hasn't it?
Absolutely, it has. To have a product such as that, which is launched from the ground up, completely from scratch, and there were problems. But to be fair, the number of problems for iOS was minimal. It really did hit the ground running. Everything was in place straight away.
And now it's very fluid. When we release features on the iOS app, they roll out seamlessly because the code is so up to date and because it's all configured in a modern way with the system. We're now doing that with the Android app, which is more popular with our fleets, and it's going to be very, very welcome because once we release that Android app towards the end of the summer, we're going to have that same frictionless experience for the drivers that they get on iOS with the Android. So this is going to really help us. Once we get that out, we can then ramp up on innovation within the driver app. So we have lots of things coming like CarPlay, Loads of really cool features coming once that kind of gets out. And the second thing that we're doing to build stability into the platform is actually fairly revolutionary. So again, set up 12 years ago, and at the time we built in an ERP system into the back end, so the billing, the invoicing, cashiering, everything taking place within the dispatch platform. And it shouldn't be like that, because dispatch should focus on intelligently matching supply and demand, making sure that you are utilizing your driver base, getting as many bookings in as possible, helping to automate those processes. But we had a huge back office in the platform, and we still do. And what we want to do next, which is going to take place over the next 12 months, is replace our back office with a product platform called Odoo. Some of you guys might be familiar with that. It's a fairly exceptional product. It's an open source platform, and there's lots of things you can do on it. Obviously, there's billing, there's accounting, there's tax modules, but there's also things like CRM. There's even stuff like social media management on it. And essentially, we're going to replace our back office with Odoo. And already we've got this working in a couple of customers in Europe, and it's very sophisticated. Chris is kind of our expert on that, and it's going to make a big difference. And we're going to come back to Chris to talk about that shortly. So that's the stabilization of the platform. Now that we're very, very stable, and we're working all the time to optimize the platform. So we've grown a lot over the last 5 years or so. We've delivered 1.3 billion bookings, and we're in 15 markets now. The UK is our favorite market, but we're in 15 markets now. And we have a team in R&D, which is the product guys, the QA guys, and the developer is now over 100 people. And again, that's something that you don't see in other dispatch providers. So we're very, very large now, and we're scaling. We also have 14 products, and each product has its own development team attached to it. So each product has a product manager, has a dev team, has a QA attached to it. So we've become a very sophisticated operation, and that's allowing us to deliver on it, continually improving the products that we have. And we see that all the time in the updates that we bring out on dispatch, the things coming out now, like our flight trackers or our updated UI. We see it on passenger app and the kind of features that we're able to bring out of that now in our web booker. So all the time we are working on our core product platform, the business as usual products that we call them, constantly happening. We don't take the eye off the ball, but we are trying to move to a point where we can really drive innovation in other areas. So this is our product set at the moment. We're going to have to get a bigger slide. I think if we want to keep going, it's going to get smaller and smaller as we increase new products. Some of the big ones there that are new are the driver services, which is driver docs and driver pay. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we speak about Google as well. But again, we have data suite capabilities now. We have a full payments platform. We have a ton of stuff going on. It's very much an ecosystem, as opposed to like a single set of products. But with that optimization, then we're always trying to improve how the customer experience is. And 2 years ago, we set out on a very ambitious project. Ambitious from a commercial point of view, as well as from a tech point of view. I mean, the tech is still rolling out, but from a commercial point of view, we made the decision that we wanted to build our platform, iCabbi, on Google Fleet Engine. So if you know about Google Fleet Engine, it's basically the Google tech stack for mobility players, and basically it's 65 different APIs and SDKs that connect into your platform that you can build on. Google Fleet Engine is what Uber is built on. So it's what Lyft is built on. It's what the ride-hail players use to build their software on top of, because it's the intelligent layer. So this is the ETA, the GPS, and all of these different AI algorithms that can be built in to then send the information up into whatever user interface that you want. So we decided that we were going to go after a partnership with Google in an effort to level the playing field between what a dispatch company like iCabbi can offer to its customers and how those customers can then compete in their market. So we're giving our customers the same technology that's out there. Granted, you don't click your fingers and it doesn't happen overnight. There is a big development process in it, but we have started that. And the only reason that iCabbi have been able to deliver on Google is because of iCabbi now and the investment in iCabbi. So working with Google, it's invitation only. We got the invite, we were able to go to them, and we had the buying power of our 1.3 billion trips, and we had the buying power of our investment in from Renault. So this costs money. Every single booking that goes through Google and uses the turn-by-turn navigation, feeding back ETAs into the dispatch system, feeding back that ETA across all 14 products and using its intelligence to then dispatch in different ways, that costs us money every single time. And we have not charged the customers for that. So we are taking that cost from iCabbi because we believe that this is what's needed for our customers to be able to compete at that level. So Google is very, very exciting. And Chris is going to talk through maybe some of the features in a couple of minutes that are available on Google. But this piece we are very excited about. The second thing that we have that feeds in. I'll come to networking in a second, but on Google is I spoke about our driver jobs and our driver services earlier on. Again, fleets need to be able to offer their drivers the same experience as is available on ride hail. So if you want to sign up for a ride hail provider now and become an Uber driver, you just go online and you fill out your forms and you put through all your documentation, and you can pretty much, that can happen overnight. Now, obviously in taxi, there's different licenses and different requirements needed, and there's different processes. But the tools that we're building now and that we've released in January and earlier this month, you can now eradicate drivers having to come to your base. So 12 years ago, we had people throwing out their servers into skips after putting iCabbi Cloud into their offices. Now you can throw out your photocopiers and your filing cabinets because we have a centralized digital resource for you to do that. And because the drivers are doing it themselves, it's a further automation for your business. So again, less manual labor in the back office, and you can either recoup the costs of that staff, or you can redeploy that staff into recruiting more drivers. Driver pay then likewise is the next step in the driver services product, and that allows you to pay drivers out digitally, schedule them, and they can also have functionality like instant payout. So you can attract the driver who maybe is a student and only wants to work on a Tuesday night and literally wants to like get his cash at the end of the night so he can go out on the piss with his friends. That is now available on iCabbi. So the Google piece and the driver services piece, it's bringing up the products that you have to be able to compete both for drivers but also for passengers with ride hail players. Networking is something I'll kind of jump off. I'll go quickly on that. We've got two networking products. One is app networking. App networking is basically you are a fleet in Glasgow and you want your passenger when they go to London to be able to open their app, stay on your app and get a taxi in London. Happy days. You retain the customer and you're sharing business across nationally like that. That's the first version of it. We have a pilot that just completed in Canada on that now, all going very well. Dispatch networking is a bit more booking demand, working with fleets close to you, select your fleets, choose who you want to work with, and have the ability to receive or give out work with those partners depending on your booking demand requirements. And that's networking. And then we have, which one is this one?
Move AI.
Oh, Move AI. Okay, so this is a big
How can you forget this one?
How can I forget Move AI? This is our big announcement and a big launch. So we just launched Move AI in the North American market. This project is fairly spectacular, and we don't have time today to do a demo, but anyone who wants to do a demo, you can get in touch with me and I can set one up for you, because when people see this and they have the kind of use cases that this product applies to, they actually kind of go, oh, I like this. This is pretty impressive. So Move AI is basically advanced pre-planning and scheduling mixed with real-time re-optimization. So this is like a next level to what you can do on your iCabbi dispatch. And the beauty of this product is that it allows you to do linked, grouped and shared trips. So this is the product if you want to have a driver who maybe has a full day's rota, like planned out for the entire day. You know, maybe he's doing a bus trip and it's pick up passenger A and B, drop off passenger B, pick up C, D, and E, drop off A, drop off C, go back and do this. So this allows this kind of this grouped and shared ride functionality. And the use cases that we have for this are non-emergency medical transportation. Some of you guys might be doing that, patient transportation, medical transportation, paratransit, student transportation. This is excellent for it because again, you're picking up students at different stops, dropping off. Employee shuttles and guest shuttles. Anyone who does airport transfers where you pick up like 20 different passengers and drop them off at different hotels. Again, this is able to optimize all of that. So what this does is it gives you a very complicated back end setting on the MoveX platform, which is a tech platform that we bought in December purely so that we could build this project with them. You configure it for all sorts of ways so that you're able to basically put in, say you've got 3,000 medical transportation bookings, puts it in, set all the driver parameters. This passenger's allowed to be 5 minutes earlier, 5 minutes late. They can only be in the car for 10 minutes. They can only share with one person. This person has a wheelchair, so it's going to take longer to onboard. And it crunches the numbers literally in seconds, and it'll come back and say, you've got 3,000 individual bookings. Based on the rules that you've set in, we can reduce that to 1,700 bookings, and here's the schedules for the 40 drivers that you have today based on their schedules. It's very, very impressive. But I can't do it justice in 5 minutes, and I know this. We need to move on and talk to Chris about some of the I suppose applications of what we'll be talking about. So that is basically a very, very, very quick whistle-stop tour of what we're delivering at iCabbi. But what I would like to do is maybe just talk to Chris about how does that resonate with the customers. You know, we're talking here about the vision and certain innovation, but like, what have they already got from our Google roadmap? What have they already received?
No, that's great. I think what's important is this is great. Is that this is the next era. Just when we talk about Google, and I'll move on to some of the things that we have right now that are coming. But this isn't just what you'd expect Google to be. It's not just about showing a map and about showing traffic and about showing the addresses that are there. We know in terms of Royal Mails they can be out of date and this sort of thing. And where that is all good is that we're using that. We're using that opportunity, but we're doing an awful lot more as well. And it really does come down to things like probably passenger live locations is a great example. So this is something that we just introduced as part of that. When a customer opens a passenger app and they then book a trip, what it will do is the first time they do it, it will offer them the opportunity to enable this passenger live location feature. Now, what that essentially means is that you might have a customer that picks up from the pub, but they go for a wander. Driver gets to the pub, passenger's not there, they try to do a no-show. But what this will do instead is this will follow the passenger where they go. So if they cross the street or they go down to the pub down the road, the driver will be there. This sort of technology amazed me when I went to the US earlier this month. In that I did move, is I've managed to get out of the wrong place at the airport. I don't know how, but I'd already got my cab. But then I moved.
He was drinking on the plane.
No, I wasn't. And then the cab managed to find me. So in terms of passenger live locations, it was brilliant. On that as well is it's just around like live activity, because we're leveraging a lot of what Google does using that platform. Is that live activities now are really enhancing that as well. So live activities is a feature for iOS. I'm hopeful that Google's going to do something similar. I'm sure they are. But rather than opening the passenger app, both in the, I'm not very good with iPhones, but in the little bit at the top of the camera is, it will tell you how many minutes it is before your car's going to arrive, and also there's like a notification on the screen that gives you it gives you a little car and a line to show you how close the vehicle is as well.
Which is actually great, because one of the bugbears for people waiting for a taxi is that waiting piece, and now they have it on their, I think they call it the dynamic island. They can just be glancing at it while they're doing whatever else they need to do. And you can be on other apps. You can be doing your Revolut transfers or checking the football scores, whatever it is, and you can still see the ETA of the car coming, which I think is actually really good.
Yeah.
What about the new feature that we have there in time, which I think is coming out in the next dispatch release? Can we talk about that? I think that's a really cool one.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is using a lot around Google ETAs. So again, as you may well, and I use this, Gary, I use this as an example. So when I come down to sort of Bournemouth way, is from my house in Bedford, I'll say, tell me how long it's going to take me to get from my house to Bournemouth or Poole to get there for 9 o'clock on a Monday. And it will say, going to be somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5 hours. Real, thanks very much. But if I do the trip straight away, it will give me a relatively good ETA as to how long it's going to take. Now, I'll always use that. I'll try and beat that every single time to get there a little bit quicker. But because we're utilising Google ETAs, and Google ETAs are using information that is essentially crowd provided. Every single person that's got a device that's running Google is using this information. If they're using Google Maps or they're using Waze, it's leveraging this information in order for us to get traffic conditions, this sort of thing, which enhances the ETA. So what there in time essentially does is it uses this ETA thing to say, is there an opportunity whereby I can offer a driver another trip, but still to get to their next trip, they're pre-booking in time to cover that. So rather than having a driver that can't do an airport run because they've got the school run coming up in an hour, we can give them 1, 2, 3 jobs in the middle that they can cover instead to still get to their school job in time. So a lot of this there in time is about leveraging that technology that Google allows us to do in order to offer this do more with less type strategy.
Yeah, and so they won't be sent a trip if Google determines that they can't
Absolutely
service that trip and get back for their planned trip in time. They just don't even see, they have no visibility.
They have no visibility,
but it allows them to kind of go, some drivers will say, oh, I'm too nervous, I've got a booking at 3 o'clock, and they're like, I won't take that, but they're only going to see stuff that they are physically going to be able to do. So they'll actually make more money if they buy that. What about other stuff coming on Google, dispatch by ETA? Like it says it is exactly what it says on the tin, but why is that so important compared to how we dispatch today?
So what we do is we do by route. So what this will do is it will look and see essentially for where the vehicles are, which one's closest. Now that generally is okay to a point. However, you can have a vehicle that is closest, but there's lots of traffic, so they're not going to be able to get there in time. So by doing by ETA, you can have a vehicle that's maybe a mile away, you can have a vehicle that's a mile and a half away, but coming into town rather than going out, and they can actually get there quicker. So rather than giving it to the car and then the car arriving late, we'll then give it to the vehicle that is a little bit further away, so that vehicle is going to arrive on time. This is all about a couple of things on this. Is that first off, we've got customers that are cancelling, customers that are no-showing. So in terms of those things, is we're trying to discourage that. But the reason for that is because we're sending the car and the car is late. In order to swap these around so that the vehicle that can get there quicker means that the cars will arrive less late. It means that the drivers can cover more jobs. It means that your customers are happier because they're getting picked up on time, and it solves a multitude of different issues.
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's just a smarter way to dispatch. Let's talk about Odoo, because I'm conscious that we probably don't have too much time left on the stage. Because you are the Odoo guy. So what is so exceptional about Odoo?
I think with Odoo, I mean, you hit the nail on the head earlier on, is that by virtue of the industry that we're in, we had to offer a solution in order to generate invoices through the system. We're not good at invoicing. Go and ask Sage to design you a dispatch system. They're not going to do that, but we're required to provide you with an accounting system that can do something very, very similar. But we're dispatch technology experts. Odoo partnership is great because it's not just about offering the facility to do an invoice, but it's about being able to do a lot more as well. And I was making the point yesterday. We had an event yesterday where iCabbi really set the stage in terms of automation, pushing the use of Passenger app and Webbook and IVR and trying to automate the front end. We've done that. That's a done deal. We've got fleets where their automation's running at 90%, but the back end has always lagged behind that. There's always been manual process in order to do things. Now, we've tightened up some of that around automatically posting trips for various things and creating rules and this sort of thing. But what Odoo does is it goes further. One of the things that Odoo said to me is in terms of rules in the system, it's about automating as far as possible. And in terms of rules, if there's a piece of information that you need to identify and to approve or disapprove a trip, if it's in there, then you can create a rule that's based around that. And what that does is that increases the automation in terms of the pricing of trips. That's the key element, that's the bit that takes the time, is checking that the prices are right and posting those jobs. What it then does is once those jobs are approved, automation can come in terms of generating an invoice for your driver and an invoice for your customer. Imagine all your jobs are checked, rules all passed at 23:59 on the 31st. On the 1st at 0001, Odoo will automatically generate your invoices and send them out to your customers. Instead of you then maybe taking a couple of 3 days in order to get those through, they're done. You've got a week's head start in order to get that payment back in. Same for the driver as well. So that's really just a little bit on that. Odoo's going to go through an awful lot of automating what you've got, but it does do a lot more. It's not just a platform that will do invoicing. If you want to use it just for that, that's absolutely fine. But as Sinead says, it's a fully RP, so it can do all of your accounting. It can do cashiering. It can do loans in terms of drivers and vehicles and that sort of thing as well. I saw the social media thing yesterday for the first time. So
we need to check that
sky's
out.
the limit.
But it is an open source platform, but it's probably important to note as well that it is customized to iCabbi. So we bought a piece of technology just recently, which is called Ride Manager, which was developed by one of our customers who was using Odoo, a very sophisticated piece of technology which plugs in as a module on Odoo, and it services that trip demand and supply and how you account for that. So it's all set up and ready for taxi, and then it's just about adding whatever additional modules that you want. We'll be closed by talking about Move AI. We presented it yesterday to our UK and Irish market. It is live and operational in the US, but really we're looking for feedback on it and what people think about it. So who did you speak to? What kind of feedback did you get on Move AI?
So I spoke to one of the largest fleets in the UK yesterday, and they said they can actually see a market for this. But I think where we're talking about NEMIT, so non-emergency medical transportation is very, very large in the US. Uber decimated the taxi industry in the US, and that's a done deal. That's a fight that they've lost. But what they can do is they can look at other things. And NEMIT, these are trips that can be difficult to cover. People don't necessarily want to do those trips. They're very, very lucrative. Now, NEMIT has been around there for quite some time, which has allowed them to increase their margins in terms of that. But with Move AI, they can link these trips together. Now, the point that I went around the house on that, but the point just in regards to that is how can we do that in the UK? And the markets that this person I was speaking to was saying is that certainly in terms of school runs, now your councils might actually create a tender that's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 children linked on there already. You may be in a council where they don't do that. They just go, there you go, sort it out for yourself. But whichever way it's done is that the council may be very inefficient. You will spend a lot of time in order to do that. Pushing this through Move AI means that it relieves pressure on the council. Potentially that could be an income source because you're doing the council's job for them. But even if you're doing it, is that you pump all this information in, it will speed up the process of you working out which drivers can carry which children, what child can't sit with another child because they bite, and all this sort of stuff. It will do all of that sort of stuff for you. So
deliveries too, I think, is a good one in the UK.
Yeah,
you can configure it with the weight of, you could have 50 parcels, and you can put the weight of them in, the capacity of the vehicle, and then basically ask the system to give the best rate for the driver to minimise any dead miles or any reduction in time as you're going from A to B. We'll go over questions, Louise. I think we're pretty much time is up here.
Any questions?
Do one question.
Any
question. You speak very fast, so one question. Your choice.
I'm sorry, this guy, I will talk to you. This guy put his hand up first. He was quickest.
Hi, I'm Ashley from Co-Fi Company, Winchester.
Hello, Ashley.
I'm very interested in your Google ETA, the live ETA feature you talked about, which I think you said is coming rather than already.
ETA is embedded now at the moment through the iOS version of it, and when we put Android turn by turn back out, that will bring a full ETA into the entire platform, which will be all 14 products.
So, with regard to that, does that have the ability to do predictive ETA for advanced bookings? In other words, well, you probably understand exactly what I mean.
Yes. Yes, I understand what you're talking about. So, in its current format, no, but that is part of the roadmap that we start bringing in the AI prediction on that, so that you can plan for that, and you're making sure that you can start early or whatever, and you can figure that out. So that is something that will come with Google. There's a ton of intelligence that comes with it, so it's just about making sure that we kind of roll it out in a kind of steady way. But yes.
Yeah, I think just to echo that is, I think what's important is that we've got all of that data that Google has, as well as data on what our drivers do as well. You don't see that generally public, but through the APIs we can see that. So where I use the example of travelling to Bournemouth and having a 1 hour difference in when I get there, is that we can certainly use that. It still can't counter for crashes and things like that, but it knows that the first weekend of the month is busier than the middle weekend of the month. So we can use that sort of data to bring that through, and that's how we do that.
And also on the Move AI project, which is used a lot for chauffeur and limo, that already has predictability built in based on historical data on how those trips took place. That builds that kind of learning into the platform to then feed into the next optimization piece that you do too.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very, very much. Just to top and tail that, if you want to go to the iCabbi standards on there, I'm sure Sinead or Chris will answer that question. May I thank Sinead and Chris from iCabbi for our first presentation
Thank you
of the
very
night.
much.
Thank you very much.